Hello, welcome to Metaphysics, My Perspective. Today we're going to be talking about the 7 subtle bodies and the 4-body system. Okay, so we all know that we basically have a physical body. This is our physical vehicle in which our soul incarnates into so that we can, experience the physical world. Many people associate the physical body, however, with like who we are. You know, People in the physical world are always, gazing at you, looking at you, judging you by your physical body, what you look like, what you wear, and it's so much deeper than that. And so, in order to alleviate some of this shallowness from this physical aspect in this physical world, I'm going to be talking about these concepts. Now, as an energy healer myself, it has been a wonderful blessing in order to, understand this knowledge, have this knowledge, at hand. So I just wanted to share some of that with my listeners. All right. So in regards to the 4-body system, the 4-body system basically is related to the elements. So you have Earth, which basically is your physical body. The Earth body encompasses our physical self, our state of health, and our strength, as well as our physical weaknesses. We must care for our physical body through proper diet, exercise, and rest. It is the vehicle of our soul in the physical world, capable of manifesting changes in an objective reality. The next body system or element is water, which is the emotional body. This has also been referred to as the pain body, since a lot of pain is actually related to our stagnant or stuck emotions. The water body consists of the astral self, which is related to our self-image, emotions, and dreams. This is also, from my perspective, known as the inner child. It's also basically the part of you that comes out, during near-death experiences, and or that you see in movies, or if you've actually had a near-death experience like I have, you've actually seen yourself over top of yourself, or vice versa. The next body is air, which is the mental body. The air body is the energy field that contains our mind, thoughts, memories, and reasoning skills. So, it deals with intellect. A lot of people that study astrology can relate this 4-body system to the elements of astrology. And when you're dealing with astrological signs, when you look at the element such as air, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, basically what you are seeing is you are seeing that we have the more, I guess you would say we have more power, or we are governed more by the mental body, the intellect, or the mental plane. So it just means we're thinkers, communicators, everything associated with that. The next body is the fire or soul body. The fire body holds our divine will as well as our spiritual energies, passions, and drives. The fire body drives us to create through our creation, learn more about who we really are and what we are here to do in this world. So the soul body, some of you have heard the concept, praying to the man upstairs. Okay, so when you are praying from your physical vessel, all those bodies are aligning together. So you're encompassing all those elements together. They're working together in unison. And the soul body basically is about 10 to 12 inches or more above your head. So in regards to you're praying to the man upstairs, you kind of are, because you are basically looking above yourself, or you're looking up. And so that's where the soul usually exists. Now you can do exercises to bring the soul or connect closer to the soul, or bring it more, like embody more of your soul, essence into you. And then that way, by doing that, you will unlock, psychic abilities, be closer to your higher self, etc. So basically the soul, higher self, similar concepts. So when you think about, say, in terms of astrology, so you've got like the earth signs, okay, you got Capricorn, you have Virgo, and you have Taurus. So in relation to that, that's what they're governed by, those energies. So for an example, those signs are usually very successful on the earth plane, or that's what their focus will be on. So a lot of times, and I noticed this even with my dad growing up, because I'm, Gemini air sign at the core, we have more than one sign if you can find that out by doing a natal body chart, but I mean, not body chart, but natal birth chart. And so then you will see how all these elements apply to your life. But at the core self, like, the ones, from like when you watch movies and they talk about what is your sign, or if you look at your sign in the newspaper, that is your core self. That's like your ego self. All right. So, and a lot of times, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorns will be more focused on the physical plane. They will actually have better experiences there, as opposed to, say, like a Gemini or an air sign. They might end up being teachers. Uh, you know, all those could be, it just depends, all those signs could be any type of, whatever. But it just depends what element is more prominent in your career chart, if we're talking about careers or, whatever. So, but, air signs are teachers for the most part. And the element, with intellect and communication can help them. So they will thrive when it comes to ideas and, situations like that, as opposed to like a water sign. A water sign, is very good with emotions. So they can help people, they can help heal people's emotions. They can be there for emotional support for people. And they also are great manipulators. So, they make good politicians. They're able to basically, water is very reflective. So they're able to blend in as chameleons and, also look, as far as with emotion, like say Scorpios are very good detectives. They're able to understand, why certain people would commit crimes in regards to, emotional aspects. So, and then when you have fire signs, these fire signs cannot stand to be tied down. That's why, in a sense, the soul is represents the fire element, because the soul wants to be free, even though it's tethered to the body. It wants to be free to do what it wants to do. The whole thing is to be the illusion of to be separated from the source or the creator or God, if you will. Even though you're a direct, the soul itself is your true self, and it is directly related, to the creator, and is a fragment of the creator in itself. There's no really separation from God and the universe. It's just, it's like the soul is like a cell, or you would say the soul is like a cell in the body of God. So it's like an aspect. It holds pretty much everything, the same possibilities as the creator, just on a smaller scale, if you will. And the soul is much bigger. I mean, the soul can fragment and be spread out to like 12 different, physical bodies. It can, you might be having simultaneous lives, in this life, and this is the only life you're aware of. And different schools of thought support the belief that when we dream about, different situations and people, and we feel like, that when we're dreaming about like a life, or something going on, a lot of times, or with other people in it, a lot of times, people believe that is an actual simultaneous life or a parallel universe. And to me, it makes sense, because there's things that have happened, in my dreams, that I don't feel like I'm just processing my day-to-day activities. I'm actually, waking up from another existence of myself, or being, let's say, privy to another lifetime, being aware of another lifetime, or, a simultaneous or parallel existence. Next, we're going to be talking about the 7 subtle bodies. So, what are the 7 subtle bodies? Basically, many people are not aware that our physical body is not only the body we have. And to give an example, I remember going to the gym one time, and I was talking to this guy, the owner, and I was talking about, and I mentioned bodies, and he said bodies. He got kind of freaked out, and I was like, yeah, you have the physical body, and you have the 7 subtle bodies. And of course, because he was more or less probably had more of the earth element, the only thing that he really wanted to be focused on was the physical body. And so he was a bodybuilder and things like that, so it didn't resonate with him. But it's also because he wasn't willing to open his mind past the physical sensations, such as smell, hearing, sight, touch. And a lot of earth signs, or the earth element, are like that. As I mentioned before, example, a Taurus, they a lot of times, even though some of those Tauruses are mystical and into mystical stuff, tarot cards, things like that, a lot of times they only believe what they can see, feel, touch, whatever, hear with, smell with their physical senses. So basically, we are multidimensional beings, and so we have a total of 7 subtle bodies, and these subtle bodies vibrate at different frequencies. So in order to interact with both the physical and non-physical worlds, you have to have some awareness of these bodies. And a lot of times we do this subconsciously or unconsciously, if you will, and have no idea. People that are psychics or, mystics or work with energy, they are very attuned or aware of these, subtle energies. And, the aura itself, the auric field, is basically derived from these 7 subtle bodies. So you could say that you have 7 layers of the aura. These would be the 7 subtle bodies. So each subtle body has its own chakra system. So you could say the etheric body, which basically talks about etheric, like, etheric space. This is where etheric parasites attach to. It closely resembles the astral plane. It's like it's another layer, but it's like the blueprint of the physical reality, if you will. So with the etheric body, you can cleanse that, and it would basically help the physical body. And same thing goes with all of it. But like I said, each one of these bodies in itself have its own chakra system. So if we're just dealing, say, with the 7 chakra system, which most of you understand and know what that is. If not, in Sanskrit, the chakras basically mean spinning disc or wheels of energy. So these are portals, and each one of these portals or energy centers are connected to the planets. So whenever the planets are stressed, then it can stress us out on all these different subtle levels, and then, basically affecting the auric field or the physical body. So then you have the emotional body. Now, as I said before, this can also be called the pain body, because emotions become stagnated. And emotions are magnetic. Thoughts are electric. You'll hear me say this in a lot of my podcasts and videos. An example is, a lot of times when you're doing energy work, you'll feel, say, pain in your knees or in your joints or your fingertips, or it could be something that's hurt you for a long time. And the reason that you're feeling that pain is because that is being pushed out. That energy that's been stagnated, that you may not even be aware of. It may not be, it may not be hurting. I did a cleansing the other day, and I'd had my left knee hurt several times, which left represents the past and then right represents the future. So the left knee was hurting during the session, and then when I was done, the pain was gone. It's because it pushed those stagnant emotions out through the physical aura and through the physical body and also the aura, and cleansed those, it transmuted those, and then you're pain free. And it's amazing how you can have those stagnant emotions, and the emotions, the more stagnated and dark and that they get, they can actually cause physical damage, because you've got that pain there and you're not even aware of it. You've become unconscious to it or forgotten about it, or you think it's not hurting and it's healed, and it's really just festering, if you will. So the emotional body is basically, again, that's where you're going to store all your emotions. So basically in your solar plexus, your sacral area, your root chakra, places like that. And the emotional body is a lot of times where cancer is derived, and cancer manifests because these emotions are stagnated. So anytime you get your heart broke, you just think of this as just think of a physical body that's basically free of all debris, and then think of the emotional body as being like a thin layer that is around the physical body. And because of that, then think about that emotional body being cluttered with debris that you aren't able to see because you're not tuned in or attuned to, your subtle bodies. And so eventually it will manifest something physical. This is why a lot of times when we do energy work or whatever, we'll have vibrational flus, or it's because these things can manifest as disease. Unhealed emotions manifest as disease in the body, and then eventually it affects the physical. So anytime that you show symptoms, and you get physically sick, you can pretty much bet that this has been festering, or that disease has been festering for a while. So next we have the mental body. Now, again, this is the air element. So negative thoughts, things like that, positive thoughts, whatever, can affect this body greatly. And it can be the same way. It can be cluttered with thought forms. And when I say thought forms, what I mean is that when you think about something or believe something for so long, you basically are investing energy into it. And because of that, it becomes a self-sustaining creation. So everything you create in life, whether it be in what you consider an inanimate object, you grow something in the ground, you're giving your life force to it. This includes disease or any other thing that you want to apply to it. Now, you could say, well, like the camera or whatever I use for, say, my tarot videos. You could say, well, that's a physical thing, and it's not alive. Actually, it's a very slow vibrational energy. And what I mean is the physical body, not the physical body, well, that too, but the physical world is very dense. So it's vibrating very, very slowly to the point of physicality. And so that's when you're looking at the layers of the aura or the physical body or the, emotional body, all those are on different frequencies or vibrations. And that's why a lot of us that are not attuned into that frequency, or like I said before, radio station, you're not going to be aware of it. It's just like if you have an antenna on your car, you can pick up certain stations. But if you have a satellite on there or connected to satellite radio, you're going to pick up more. It just depends, how far you reach and how much of a magnet you are to basically attract the things that you want in your life. So the same thing goes with the mental body and everything else. Now, you can create negative thought forms that basically, if one of these, if your mental body is stressed, then all other bodies are going to be stressed as well, because the mind is the builder. And then your emotions basically carry that. So, you think it, your emotions magnetically carry it, and they attract back whatever, and then the physical is the result of all of that. Now, that's a quote from basically Edgar Cayce, so famous psychic. Then you have what is called the astral body. So the astral body itself is connected to the dream plane. This is also connected to the water and emotional body as well. The astral world is like when you have nightmares, or when you dream. It's also where you go, like for at least almost kind of like purgatory, where it's a stopover. It's where it's the fourth dimension, if you will. So it's where you basically, it's another blueprint of this reality. So it's where, like, some people have seen the astral realm. Like an example is like some of these cartoons and things like that you see. A lot of that comes from the astral plane, like the ideas and the dreams. So if you dream and you have something chasing you, you would be in the lower astral realm. Or if if you have your astral body come out of you, kind of like on the movie Doctor Strange, where he's meditating and his astral body is sitting there reading, or no, he's sleeping and his astral body is learning. Your astral body will always basically be attached to you with a cord, and until you die, the cord, when that cord basically is, cut or whatever, that's when you will actually, your physical body will cease to be alive. And so the astral body is, you have higher and lower dimensions in the astral realm. You also have, this is also where astral parasites and reptilians and things like that will attack you. It's always good when you sleep at night to make sure that you put up protection or some type of protection when you sleep, so that you can be protected, especially if you have dreams, nightmares, if you have kids that have night terrors. Now, the astral body, like I said, it usually hovers above you. So when your body's resting or you have a near-death experience, it's what you'll see. Or sometimes you can become aware, like your astral body can be above you, and it can become aware of something that's going on in the astral plane, or if something, it's almost like an alarm, if you will. An example is when, and I've said this before, I had a situation where I opened up a portal during energy work, and this is back when I wasn't as skilled as I am now. And I seen a white apparition go into my physical body, and so then I called upon Archangel Michael to pull that out of me. And I didn't, at the time I was. It's almost like you're aware of the situation, but it's so slight. It's like because you're not really supposed to be aware. Like if you're in your astral form, you're not always, unless you practice and work with that body a lot. Most of the time you won't see yourself coming out of your body, or if you're asleep you won't be aware of that, unless you work with that energy. And at this case, at this point in time, I was shown this so that I could understand what I had done, opening up the portal. So I allowed something to come in, and I was asleep, so I was out of my physical body. Now your astral body will again come out of your physical body when you sleep. And it does that because if your astral body's within you, then all those subtle bodies and stuff, that's what animates you. So when it animates you like that, then you can't sleep. That's why people that lay awake at night and they're still conscious and they're thinking, it's only when you enter an unconscious state does your astral form come out of you. And case in point, a lot of people will say, like people that have been in fights, they will say it's like I was over myself watching myself do something. And that's really how it is. Like if you get knocked out or knocked unconscious, the reason that you can't move or you're out is because something has basically knocked your astral form out of you. Another case in point, you see this also in Doctor Strange when she does that maneuver and pushes his astral form out of his physical body. And of course, like they show in a movie, in his physical self, he had no idea that this was even possible. Like he didn't even believe in it. He wasn't aware of it. And for the most part, any doctor or anything like that doesn't study this, type of work would, think it was crazy. So that's not all movie magic. Like what happened in Doctor Strange, just to give a clear incentive on, how things work, that was pretty accurate, from my perspective. Now, of course, I can't say that I've experienced a lot of that, but I have experienced the astral form and been in the astral form and been aware. And I've actually been higher than that. I've been aware higher than the astral form of something that I couldn't see that was still watching. So like an example would be, when I had my near-death experience, it was 3 forms. So the physical form, and then the astral form floating above it. And then above that was a very powerful being, but I couldn't see that. It was like invisible. And it was just like I was aware of the Trinity, if you will, like, mind, body, and spirit. So it was almost like I was in all, a certain aspect of me existed in all those dimensions of consciousness. But the main one that was aware of the situation was the astral form. And that was like, I remember the astral form being very, very immature, very childlike. So that's why I associate that with the inner child. All right, so also, and I wanted to say too, with the astral body, that is like when you have energy implants, a lot of times this is where the implants will be planted into you, because if you can control the subtle bodies, then you can control the physical body. So a lot of times they will attack those bodies because we are less aware of those bodies. So you'll have, and it's not that far-fetched, because we have millions of different types of parasites in the physical world, and people are aware of that, and they know that to be true, and as above, so below. So we're going to have the same, possibilities in the, spiritual dimensions. It's just the way it works. Life supports life. Even if you don't agree on some level that you want these things, there are rules and regulations in place on those different frequencies that allow for such things to happen. And, like an example, if you are, we've all heard that sex is sacred, that it shouldn't be abused. Well, if you abuse it, a lot of times you open yourself up to things that can attach to you or attack you, and basically they see that as an opportunity to feed themselves. Now, a lot of that sounds crazy. I realize that, I understand that, but when you get into this type of work and these types of topics, esoteric topics, spiritual topics, it's a whole nother universe. So you believe what you want to, whatever resonates. It's just the way it goes. But I can confirm, at least on my part and from the work that I've done, that these things are real and they do exist. And so the next body is the etheric template. So when it comes to, hold on just a second. Okay, so the etheric template body, basically it extends outward about 2 feet. The etheric template body is the blueprint for your physical body. It exists long before your physical body does and can be the key to very deep healing. The etheric template body is also the part of your energy that exists in parallel realities. So we were talking about that before. And so there's not a whole lot I know about that. I just know that if you think about it, like we have an aspect of us in different realities. So we may only be aware of the physical body, but then like it says, you have these, parallel realities where other parts of you can exist as well. So I also want to go back to the, explain a little more in regards to the etheric body. So with the etheric body is the innermost of the 7 subtle bodies, extending only a couple of inches from you. It is the one that affects your physical body the most. Though not all illness originates from the etheric body alone, certain forms of alternative healing directly affect the etheric body. So and those forms are acupuncture, Reiki, and several other different types of energy works. So the etheric body has the lowest vibrational frequency, as it is the blueprint for the physical body and thus the most dense. So I actually didn't know that, but it does make sense. So I would say some of the more negative things that you think about or emotions you have really affect this body. So then I wanted to cover some more on the emotional body too, because I had some notes that I had forgotten to tell you in the beginning. So the emotional body basically extends 3 inches from the physical body. The emotional body dictates your feelings. This is the part of the aura that will change to many different colors of the rainbow depending on your emotions. Problems in your emotional body can manifest as frequent arguments with others, anxiety and depression, and volatile emotions. And I can confirm when I've had volatile emotions, it has really caused and wreaked havoc on these subtle bodies before. I used to get mad, a lot of people, and just explode, have explosive anger. And I remember when I would do energy work after, for the longest time, my left side was completely blocked. I couldn't feel anything. So it took a long time of working on myself to clear those energy bodies, because it was blocked from those, explosive and volatile emotions. And, your left side is your spiritual side. So that's basically, a lot of times when it comes to implants or anything else, they will place them on the your spiritual side, because that's where you get your spiritual information from. So they'll put blocks in there so that you're, disconnected from your higher self or from source, God, universe, whatever and a lot of times the implants will act as like, think of them like as computer chips. So what they will do is they will, it's installed to tell the computer, or say your spiritual computer or your subconscious, or whatever you want to apply a term to, it will reroute the energy to different aspects. And sometimes it actually changes your reality and the way you think and everything else. Now I know that could be far-fetched to a lot of people, but like I said, it's imperative that we as a society and as a people, as one race, we should get in touch with this. And if you have no interest in it and it's not part of your journey, then whatever. But if you are spending money to energy healers, a lot of times it may be helpful if you just learn to train yourself, or find at least some type of energy manipulating, manipulating in a good way. It may be helpful for you to find something that at least can be a stopover, or act as a stopover, or stay over until you can actually get a professional, energy healer to help you. And an example would be, say you have energy healing from a certain practitioner every couple of weeks, and he he takes a vacation. Well, you might want to have some type of manual or some type of information on how to help yourself during this time, because it's just like with the physical body, the spiritual body requires constant maintenance. So once you start doing it, if you stop, like if you've had Reiki one time and you stopped, well, I mean, you've had it one time. Yeah, it's going to help you. If you've had it one time and, and you've been alive 20 years, yeah, it's definitely going to help you. But in order to keep those energy channels open and, feel that bliss and everything else that goes along with that, and being able to operate at your highest caliber, it's something that needs to be implemented, usually on a daily basis, weekly, at least monthly, So basically, healing the emotional body, basically, it's when you need to take responsibility for the emotions that you create and that you are admitting. It can be helping moving forward from old grudges or sad past events. So a lot of times they'll talk about your shadow self or shadow work. A lot of this has to do with the emotional body. So again, I'm going to cover some more on the mental body. So the mental body basically extends 3 to 8 inches away from the physical, and it contains all thoughts, mental processes, the use of imagination, memory, and information gathering, which I touched on some of that before. So the mental body has a higher frequency than the two bodies below it, and it's most often associated with a yellow color when someone is in deep thought. However, the color of the mental body will change to reflect the color of the emotional body if the thoughts are very emotional. So people that have like a huge ego or are basically aligned with that frequency, like always, and it's also the color of the solar plexus. So that's why they talk about how your brain and gut are connected. Having probiotics and stuff like that, it helps create serotonin, neurotransmitters in your body. It helps your brain function better. So a healthy gut is a healthy mind, a healthy brain. If not, you might walk around basically, what do you call it? Like having, a fog brain, not being able to think clearly. A lot of times when your mental body is, something's going on with it, you will have lapse in thoughts, memory issues, things of that nature. So it's imperative to cleanse that too. And, I was using a system the other day called Golden She Soul, and it clears these 7 subtle bodies, which I'm going to put this on my Etsy site if anybody's interested in purchasing the manual or interested in a session from me. But it clears the 7 subtle bodies, and and I didn't even realize I hadn't cleansed the 7 subtle bodies. I worked on the chakras and I've done energy work and different things, but I hadn't. A lot of times when you go into details of each one, or you work specifically, because specifics matter when it comes to energy work, because you are specifically focusing on one thing. And so when you're doing that, you can apply more energy to it as opposed to applying energy to a collective or to a whole. If I just say I wanted to heal all zodiac signs or whatever, it's not going to be able to work on each individual person. So that's why when an energy practitioner works with a person individually and uses their their energetic name, or their connects to that person's higher self, as opposed to connecting to a group of people, it's much more efficient from my perspective, because all of your concentration and your focus are going into that person or that individual. So, and when they talk about the mental body being a higher frequency, it definitely makes sense, because you've heard of the speed of thought, and just if you think, and when I say higher, I mean faster. So when you think how fast your thoughts are or can be, then that shows you how fast you can manifest, with your thoughts. Same thing with your emotions. A lot of times it'll take us a minute. Usually emotion follows thought. So most of the time, the emotional body is right behind the mental body, and very closely related. So then I'm going to cover a little more about the astral body. So the astral body is the bridge of the physical bodies into the spiritual realm. The etheric, emotional, and mental bodies are the most energetically dense with the lowest frequencies, because they are all experienced on the physical level. The astral body transcends the physical and acts as a connector to the spiritual. So that makes sense, because it really is. It's like some people will call it the rainbow bridge, or it's more connected to your heart, which basically is the fourth dimension. So a lot of times people will apply the fifth dimension with the heart, but when you're dealing with chakras and subtle bodies, the fourth chakra is basically the emotional body, which is basically the fourth body, depending on which system or school of thought you are, studying at the time. Some of, other people have different things, but for the most part, or different ideas or thoughts about it. But for the most part, the majority of them are accurate on some level. But, in this universe, many things are, it's not really a wrong or right. It's just another perspective. When you're in duality, which is usually the third, fourth dimensions, the wrong and right apply more. But when you get into the higher dimensional frequencies, it's just more of a matter of a perspective. So, in case in point, someone can look at a 6 an opposite way and see it as a 9, or vice versa. So the astral body is used during astral projection, out-of-body experiences, and quantum jumping. Now, I've attempted the astral projection. As far as I know, I've never done it unless I've done it in the dream plane. I remember you do it then, always. Most of the time, the astral body is really connected to the physical body. So if you depending on, like for me, I have an Earth Moon sign, so I think that keeps me more grounded in regards to astral traveling, and I wasn't able to project that out of my body. When that happened, it's always happened unconsciously. So it's not something that I know personally how to do or that I've studied. I'd like to study it, but a lot of times astral projection can be unsafe depending on your frequency. A lot of times the reason that you will have, remember I said before, the astral body is connected to the dream plane. So when you have nightmares, a lot of times it's because your vibrational frequency is lower. But if you raise your vibrational frequency before you go to bed, by meditating or whatever else, you will have more awareness in your dreams, more lucid experiences. And for the most part, as long as your energy is good, or just, balanced rather, or less dense, you will have, without really defining it as better or good, you would just have, in a faster or higher frequency dream state or dream experience. And not all of them are dreams, because like sleep paralysis, abductions, they all take place on an astral plane with your astral body. So, situations like that, they can be different depending on, who you're dealing with. Quantum jumping is something I've never done that I know of. Now, I have projected my consciousness out of my body willingly and traveled. Like, an example is, if you want to know the price of something, if you're psychic and you have the ability to do this, if you want to know the price of something, you can project your mind or your mental body, or whichever body it is. I'm not sure at this time because I never had a teacher to show me this. But to me, I think it's more in regards to, what is that called? I can't think of the name right now, but it's a thing. I'll do a video on it. Basically, you project yourself out and you can get information. So the military, governments, things like this, they've used this psychic ability to get information, explore bases and things like that. So basically, you're projecting yourself out. Say I wanted to get a price on something in Kroger. So I go into meditation and I project myself to Kroger with the intent or my will. And by doing that, then I could get an accurate price if I'm, wanting to do that. A lot of times you could try this. This is just, if say you wanted to see inside this house, or an old place that's been shut down, or you wanted to go into the pyramids, you can astrally project yourself or mentally project yourself, or soulfully, depending on, what your intent is, to these places, and you will be there at the speed of light or faster, depending on, what science and what system of thought and study that you're using at the time. But, your thoughts can prevent that too, because if you don't believe that, or you limit yourself in your thinking, then you can, it's not going to work out for you. But I've done that successfully several times in different healings, and also, in order to, get results and find out information. So then I'm going to touch again on the etheric template body. So I think, no, I already did it. No, we're going to talk about the celestial body. So the celestial body is the body that connects us to the divine through the heart chakra. The celestial body allows us to reach a level of awareness and connectedness that aligns you with the universe. The celestial body vibrates on the frequency of pure bliss, joy, and unconditional love. So, and I was saying basically that the astral connects to the heart chakra, but basically it's more of the higher heart chakra. So your celestial body connects to your heart chakra. So that's, that might be more considered the rainbow bridge, depending on which, school of thought that you're studying again. It just depends, because like I said, you read so much, you have so much information, there's so much out there. It's basically going to be whatever resonates with you. So the celestial body exists purely in the spiritual realm, and is and connecting to the celestial body often happens through meditation when the more lower bodies are quiet, which is true because those can wreak havoc on anything else. So if you've actually successfully meditated, or you study meditation or have practiced it and felt the bliss that you get, it makes sense, because it does. It slows the mental mind chatter down. It slows the emotional body down to a, doesn't really slow it. It speeds it up, if you will, and causes all those other things to be quiet. So then you have the causal body. The seventh body and the final body is the causal body. The causal body is sometimes described as the soul because it contains all of the information of the lower bodies, as well as the knowledge that you are one with the divine. The body extends up to 5 feet from the physical body, has the highest vibrational frequency, and is bright gold color. Because of this higher vibration, people connected with their causal body intrinsically know that they are one with the universe. The causal body is also thought to be the part of you that reincarnates after each life. The causal body retains the information of the other bodies below. It takes that into the next life. When people connect to their past lives through hypnosis, that is often through the causal body. So you could just say that is the soul body. So let's see, what else can I cover on that? 1 second here. We'll take a quick break and I'll be back. Okay, we're back. So, more interesting information on the causal body is, in this description, is known as the seventh layer of the mental level of the one spiritual plane, and contains all other bodies within it, extending 3 to 5 feet from the body. This field resembles an egg, and it pulsates and vibrates at high speeds, and are considered the 0 point God energy, a reflection of everything your soul has undergone. This is the link to the divine and accepting your oneness with the universe. So each auric level, has its own 7 chakras, as I mentioned before, nestled within other auric chakras, within each layer extending outwards, vibrating at a higher rate as they expound. This means that the set of 7 chakras within the etheric body will vibrate at a lower frequency than those within the causal body. This process is what allows one's energies to transmute between all bodies to other chakras for harmonic balance and higher vibrations, particularly when they are cleared and open. So this is why just working on the 7 chakras is not always enough, because if you're working more with the 7 subtle bodies, then you can clear those one by one, and you're also clearing the chakras within that body. So if you do this energy work, it might be if you're looking to have energy work done, it might be you might find it a blessing to actually seek out a practitioner that works with the subtle bodies. So see what else I can do. All right. And so let's see. All right, now we're going to talk about subtle anatomy. Basically, that is the study of interactions of the different energy systems in the body. Just like with subtle energy, various cultures across the world have different ways of describing the body's energy systems, as I mentioned before. Different schools, system of thought or schools of thought. However, the most widely recognized way of outlining subtle anatomy comes from ancient Indian yogic practices. So in yogic in yogic subtle anatomy, there are 5 different energy systems: chakras, 7 wheels of energy; bandalas or bandas, which is 3 energy seals; koshas, which is the 7 subtle bodies; gunas, which is the 3 primal forces; and prana, vayas, which is life energy. And so prana can also be described as organ, chi in different cultures, life force energy, Reiki. I mean, different things. So, and I'm going to cover the chakras too here. So the chakra system lies at the center of the body, running from the top of the head to the bottom of the spine. Each chakra is a wheel of energy that correlates to various mental and physical qualities. The 7 subtle bodies also correspond to the 7 chakras, which is as follows. You have your root chakra, which is at the base of your spine, also referred to as the base chakra. Sacral chakra, which is your sex chakra. It's also the creative center, and also where addictions stem from a lot of times. Well, it stems holistically and, completely throughout you, but when you balance your sacral chakra, a lot of times you will have less addictive, you will have, let's say, less addictive urges if you keep it balanced. Solar plexus chakra, which is basically your will center, your the gut and the brain, like I said. Also, there's a bundle of nerves there, so when you're thinking or you're having anxiety, a lot of times those nerves are aggravated, so it has to do with that area, and it needs to be balanced or cleared. You have the heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye chakra, and crown chakra, and you have many other higher dimensional chakras, depending on the school of thought or system of thought rather, and those actually do help too. Many people study 15 chakra system or the 12 chakra system. I do both 12 and 15th. And basically through meditation and yoga, you can work to open your chakras to increase the flow of subtle energy through your physical body, improving anything from your health to your mood, which is 100% accurate. So now we have the, what I was saying before, the bandhas, which is bandas, if I'm saying that right. It's a different language. So the 3 bandhas are used in yoga for harnessing and controlling prana, subtle energy, life energy. The bandhas act as energy seals to stop prana from escaping the physical body. These 3 bandhas are Mula, root lock; Udayana, abdominal lock; and Jalahara, which is your throat lock. Then you have koshas, which the koshas are the 7 subtle bodies, which are also called the auric system in regards to subtle anatomy. If the subtle bodies are not in alignment, it can cause complications like disharmony and suffering. When the 7 subtle bodies interact harmoniously and efficiently with the other energy systems, health and well-being can be achieved. And then you have the gunas, which is the 3 gunas are the primal manifestations of the universal intelligence. That is the underlying blueprint for all of the physical world. Those 3 primal forces are Thomas, no movement, darkness and stagnation; Rajas, movement, growth, activity; Sattva, balance, clarity, and stability. And in the context of subtle anatomy and more Sattvic lifestyle is ideal because balance in the universe is the most optimal outcome. If there is too much activity, it is balanced with stagnation. If there is too much stagnation, it is balanced with growth. And then you have prana vagas, which is the energy system that controls the direction of the subtle energy movement throughout the body. This system is directly connected to the breath, which is one of the reasons that breathing is so integral to the yoga practice. Imbalances of this energy system can result in a variety of complications, including heart palpitations, anxiety, depression, and asthma. And so usually when you're not breathing properly, you will end up in fight or flight. So. And then you have, then you have subtle bodies and physical reality. So although they are called subtle bodies, a subtle energy, the effects of subtle anatomy is anything but subtle. Understanding how subtle energy flows throughout the 7 subtle bodies can help improve your health and vitality exponentially. It isn't just the things that we can see with the naked eye that have effects on our lives. And that's imperative for, everyone that, happens to listen to this video to understand it. Spending time in meditation or doing yoga practice can do amazing things in healing your subtle bodies of any, it can heal of any traumas. Now armed with the knowledge of subtle bodies and subtle energy, you can continue to have a more fulfilling spiritual journey. So I wish everybody was taught this, when they were younger. Because, I was blessed to be able to watch certain movies that had this information in it. Like I was into ninja movies, American Ninja, and they would use a lot of this information, and I was very, let's say, imaginative and just totally attracted to all this, like, passionate, and still am. And I've had so many, powerful things happen when working with these, and so many wild experiences that no one, in the physical world, that is basically harnessed directly to the physical world and doesn't allow themselves to wonder, but even consider to understand. And most of those people thought I was crazy. But this knowledge is real. And, one thing I learned a long time ago is that, us as a Western society, the people that live in the United States, we are very young spiritually. And, we've not been around that long, in the United States. And you have places like India that study these, that this information comes from, and other ancient cultures. I read one time that India was 100,000 more years advanced in spiritual studies than we are as a Western society. And I believe that wholeheartedly, because working with these chakras, working with this energy has had, a profound impact on me and others. And I do this for a career. I help people, and, I've been able to help myself and change my life because of that. And so many people in a Western society, they turn to drugs for escapism, and things like that, except for dealing with it. And there's a lot of people that are starting to wake up, but have yet to apply themselves. And, I classify the different people in Western society and all over the world, and you have people that go through a spiritual awakening, and they kind of go through it, and they don't really do anything but listen to some affirmations and try meditation. They touch on it a little bit, but they don't go wholeheartedly, because they're younger souls, meaning that they have had less experience. And I'm not talking about the age of the souls. I'm talking about I'm talking about age in regards to experience. When I say youth or older, And so a lot of the older souls, like me, growing up as a kid, we felt very different. We felt like we didn't belong. And it wasn't until I started opening myself up to this type of energy and understanding what my purpose was. So many people, laughed at me as a child, or, asked me what I consider dumb questions, and tried to manipulate me and play me, and, tried to pick on me, bully me, all this stuff. And I was always different, very sensitive to energy, did not understand this world at all. And, I've learned, of course, to toughen up, but, it's for that reason, because of this world and the misunderstanding that I've always been introduced to, in regards to me and how people perceive me, and just, in general, the way it is, it's like it's a jungle sometimes, and, the term, a dog eat dog world, if you will, where, if you don't live a certain way or do a certain way, you will be eaten, and it's that's not a world that I wish to live in. So, for a lot of it, I have separated myself from society and work mainly in the shadows, or, on YouTube, things like that, because this world is very dense, and I want to live, I don't want to live in a dense world like that. I want to, create my own reality and live in it, and be in control, if you will. And even though those experiences brought a lot of growth, they can, they've helped me a lot, because I've learned a lot about energy healing, because I've had to clear a lot of these situations that happen with people that don't do the work. And, I worked at this spiritual place for a while, and it seemed like it was the greatest thing ever. And you might hear me talk about this in other videos, but I thought I found heaven, because it was just everything that I could ever imagine, all the things. But even though it was all the tools and the talks about things, a lot of those people were not spiritually adept. They were not open to a lot of this stuff. They didn't want to go any further. They didn't want to do the work. They wanted to stay the same, and the work that they did was it's very minimum. The guy I knew, he had stuff that I would have just loved to have, as far as physical tools to work with the chakras and things like that, and the ability to reach people. But even through the people that I met there, they were very what I thought. I learned a lot, but also what I thought in regards to where they were consciously and vibrationally, I was wrong. And I started to see that I had to separate myself from those types of people too, because it was just too much ego. And I really thought I made some friends during that time and found my new family, but all I really found was another way to grow. So it's just the way it is sometimes. I just don't, you have a lot of people in regards to this type of work, and it can resemble having a family experience. Like, most, if not all, families are somewhat toxic, or you have some type of toxicity somewhere in those. And if someone tells you that they don't, it's, you can't really always believe that, because there's something there. So anyway, that's pretty much what I have in regards to, this system, and I tried to cover as much as I could before I, got burned out. But I hope this information was helpful and will be helpful in the future to people. I hope that you listen all the way through, or at least listen to some, then take breaks. But there's a lot of information here that can help you move forward. And if you're interested, in regards to me as booking me as an energy practitioner, you can find me on YouTube under Metaphysics, My Perspective, on Facebook as the same, and also on Etsy. You can find me there. I have a shop there where I do these practices for people, and I really do make a difference in people's lives. So if you are open to growth and change, then contact me, and I'll be grateful to help you. So I hope you all have a great day, and I hope this experience was as great as it was for me. Thanks for listening.